Hi everyone, this is Anya. I'm a channel and an Akashic reader. Greetings. So today is Friday again, and I have good news for you. Mother Mary just came through. This morning I was so thrilled to have her knocking on my channel door and relaying a very beautiful message to us about not to worry about time and existence. It was quite philosophical, but we will, of course, reflect upon it after I relay her message to you. And let's start right away. So, this is what she said.
Dear one, we are glad you're checking in with us. You are all on the brink of a great discovery. The discovery will be that nothing is as it seems, and how much your inner state influences your outer experience. How much these two are connected, and you will discover that there is actually nothing but a white canvas aside of you. Surrounding you is lots of energy, and what you're going to do with this is your decision. So think of yourself as sitting in a great pile of toys. These toys can be anything you want them to be. And how you are going to play with your toys is your decision. You think you have established an infrastructure of thinking, doing, handling, living, perceiving, experiencing. And to some degree, this is true because you're human and you depend on a certain infrastructure. You depend on housing because your bodies need to be warm. You depend on food and therefore agriculture. You depend on farming, and not just for bodily things, but also for intellectual things. You want to farm and cultivate thoughts, schools of thoughts, structures, so that you can then perceive and establish a certain opinion of something and expand upon it to greaten and widen your knowledge of the world you're living in. But this is a very passive way, and it has worked until now, of living this life. Now you can experience a more active way to live your life. And that is not rely upon the already perceived, already thought, already established ways of thinking and doing things. When you look very closely, you will realize that there is nothing around you, meaning it can be filled with anything. There is energy surrounding you can manipulate in order to create. And so far, very few of you have been making use of this knowledge. We do not blame you because we know what it is to be inside the body. It is confusing and so many things need to be navigated all at once. The energies in your bodies are diminished much more rapidly right now. It's taken a great deal of you all to live through one day. And many of you have the feeling that it is more or less survive through the day, exist through the day. It's not a pleasure to be on earth for many of you right now. Please know it will be a much nicer experience the more you are able to let go of control, the more you are able to accept that in fact you are the creator of your own day, your own life, your own ride here. And why is that? Because what you want And what you need is a decision that you make. You don't need anything or anyone. You want to be with someone because you choose to be with someone. You want to do something because you choose to do something. Because you think this will be profitable for you, this will be good for you, this will be interesting to you. You are attracted to energies and certain kinds of actions that will lead to outcome energies. That will be in return then a vehicle to start and trigger new energy release. I'm aware that this sounds incredibly complicated for you right now, when it is in fact very, very, very simple. You are awareness. You're a consciousness. But when you're connected to time, you are awareness. So please be aware of the now and who you are right now. Tune into your body. Tune into your inner mind. You're very, very finely tuned instruments. You can perceive a whole lot more than you think. You can influence a whole lot more than you think. But this interplay can only function, can only work if you have certain trusts in all the outer circumstances, that all the outer world will be taken care of. And the only thing you need to focus on is the inner world, is that what you can experience and what you can influence and what you can change, right? So when the outer world, the greater world, is scaring you right now, and so much is changing, and so much is taking a turn for the worse, don't look for the greater weather. Stay in your own garden and make sure everything is tended to in your own garden. So when you feel there's not much joy to be had in the world right now, everyone is quite depressed or worried, what you can do to lighten the load is not to be worried, because it does not make much of a difference, right? If one of you is more worried or less, you think, but it does. It does make a difference, because if one of you shows the others, listen, we don't need to be worried. Nothing will change if every one of us is worried, but something great will change if one of us shows the others, you don't need to be worried. Clouds may be on the sky, but you don't need to be worried. It might rain, yes, it might not rain, yeah, maybe. Let's not be worried. You will see that this will change everything. Everything. Trust more humans. And I mean this in not just one sense. Trust more humans. And trust more humans. You're going to be fine. Release those energies that you're binding. And remember that people who are very scared want to control everything. People who are not scared, who trust in higher guidance, who trust in higher logic, who trust in the Creator. They're not scared. They don't want to control everything, everyone, all outcomes. They don't exert so much dominance. That is what is making them peacemakers. A peacemaker is not someone who is going to control everyone, everything, every outcome, thinking that he or she only knows best, that he or she can decide for other beings. A great leader is someone who can step back in the right moment and look for the others to lead him, to lead themselves. Remember, the light has created all that is. It has not made any mistake while it did that. There is governance that you cannot perceive or see or even know about. And life on earth is a lot about letting go, trusting, and creating out of joy. And it is on earth a conscious decision because you have awareness. But it is fragile on earth. You will always come to a point where you question yourself and where this framework of time and space and dimension will make you subconscious or self-conscious about yourself. You will suddenly try to place yourself inside a greater framework so you can have an understanding of who you are, where you are in exactly this moment, in this time and in this space, in this world. Who am I, you will suddenly ask, fearful, frightened, that you could not answer maybe the question sufficiently, or that you are not able to be happy with the answer. Because you have simply forgotten that you are divine and already have your place in every time, every dimension, in this underlying structure. It is trusting in blindness what is happening on earth. It is closing the eyes and making a step forward on an abyss and trusting that when you fall, you will not fall. It is incredibly hard to do because your surroundings, your life hasn't suggested that this is the way it is. You have collected experience, gathered experience that tells you otherwise. Because your perception is perceiving sometimes as something different than it is. It is deceiving, I mean, not perceiving. I can only ask you to look to nature and realize, no, there is not one mistake in nature. I am part of nature, therefore there cannot be one mistake in me. If there is not one mistake in me, there cannot be one mistake in another one. And if we are all one great success, this cannot fail. The Creator would not allow us otherwise. But the Creator is generous. It allows you to make your own decisions. That is what I just told you, what a great leader does. He, she steps backward sometimes in order to allow the others to lead themselves, to become great leaders. because there will not always be in every world, in every life, in every instance, a great leader for you who will decide loud and clear what needs to be done. This is what is happening here on earth. You see, there is always a mirror of a mirror of a mirror of a mirror. And at some point, you need to trust that the image in the mirror is the same in all the mirrors and will not change the deeper you go. It is a reflection of you. So the more you trust, the more you can trust yourself, the more you're safe. The less you trust yourself, the more dangerous Earth can be for you. So Mother Mary points to something that is really quite profound. The moment we are realizing that there is time, space, dimensions, we become subconsciously self-conscious. And I don't think she made a mistake in wording here. Just like with perceiving and deceiving. So there is this perceived framework, time, space, dimension, that makes out of a consciousness that simply is, exists, an awareness moment. And the moment we try to step back and are not in the flow anymore of doing something, living something, being something, the moment we step back and try to put ourselves onto this map of greater awareness, greater perception, that's the moment when we lose our sense of self and compare ourselves to what we were 5 minutes before, yesterday, 10 years ago, even compare ourselves to an unknown future self that we imagine how we should be, how we want to be. And that is what gives us this moment of losing ourselves. So when we try to anchor ourselves, we lose ourselves. That's really interesting, I feel. Also, there's also the trust element here, that the never-ending mirror section she asks about. At some point, we need to trust that the image in the deepest mirror is the same as in the first one. Meaning, we cannot control everything. We cannot be sure of everything. We sometimes need to really accept there is an abyss and we need to let loose. We need to trust that we will be okay, even blindfolded, taking a step forward. This is what life is about, she says. Life is about losing control, accepting there is no such thing as control. Trusting that there is a creator, that there is an underlying structure, an underlying framework that will keep us safe, that is here for us. And ultimately, that we are part of this framework because we are divine. We are part of this structure. So this is really quite deep. It is very philosophical. It gives you food for thought, for sure. But it's also very nourishing and warming. I feel very calming. She has a very calming nature. And if this was too high for you, too much for you today, if you just want the easy gist broken down, think of the image she gave quite at the beginning when she talked about the toys. You are surrounded by a pile of toys, and what you want them to be is your decision, and what you want to play with them is also your decision. So what is surrounding us is not only made by us, but is also influencing us again. So I know this was not an easy channeling. It was not fluffy spirituality. Today was quite deep, but sometimes we have to go deep in order to really move forward. And you seem to be ready for this, because otherwise she wouldn't have come through with such a deep message. So kudos to you. I will leave you now. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy wherever you are. A bit of free time, productive weekend, family time, or simply treat yourself to something cool. I see you next week. Bye.